watch a little bit of the property tax system video, see how we feel about it. If we feel like switching to the Jubilee video, we'll switch to the Jubilee video. If the Strong Town video is really good, we'll have to watch it after. Okay?
High-value homes are being severely undertaxed.
We know that the system that people are using is not working.
But the last 2 years have been insane, so you can't attack the assessor.
Nobody aspires to be the most hated man in the county.
There's a secret racket happening in America. It's money hidden in wine cellars and pool houses, policies, algorithms, and assessors' offices, forming an assessment gap that has implications on our nation's health, fairness, and the American dream of building intergenerational wealth. In Western North Carolina, critical research is confirming what people have been saying for decades. Through property assessments, wealthy Americans are skirting paying their fair share, straining city budgets and placing the burden on less wealthy neighbors, whose lives are already becoming increasingly more expensive. This is the reverse Robin Hood grift of how low and middle income homeowners are being made to pay the property tax responsibility of rich homeowners in Asheville, North Carolina, and across the United States. While we may at times have concerns about the use of our tax dollars, there's no question that property taxes pay for many of the vital services we use every day, like roads, sewer lines, parks, schools, and so on. If some people are not paying their fair share for these services, that presents a real issue for our cities. Unfortunately, this has been going on for a long, long time. 1873, New York State. Property assessors James A. Briggs, Sterling G. Hadley, and John S. Fowler travel all across New York, interviewing local property assessors and supervisors under oath, and they inspect the local property tax rolls. In their report to the state, they said, "The small house and lot of the laborer or mechanic is often found to be assessed at 60% of its value, while the better class of dwellings up to the palatial mansion are valued by the assessor at 40, 30, and often at 20%. They find that the existing system is unequal, unjust, and oppressive." 150 years after Briggs, Hadley, and Fowler revealed the truth about this scheme, unfair assessments still plague counties all across the United States. While there have been countless affirmations of this since then, in 2021, Dr. Christopher Berry published the most comprehensive study of this unfair tax system to date. The aptly named Property Tax Project has been created so that people like you, me, journalists, local leaders, can finally apply pressure to fix unfair taxes.
It's going to be harder and harder for the rest of the assessment community to deny this problem when you have more of the leading jurisdictions who are acknowledging it and working on fixing it. And I'm very optimistic that 5 years from now, the way the assessment community as a whole thinks about this problem will have changed.
And the Just Accounting Project is what it looks like to synthesize this knowledge with local expertise in Western North Carolina. Until people can put faces and consequences to this unfair tax system, things aren't going to change. So let's go ahead and do that. In the Montford district of Asheville, Mr. Lordman's tax assessment grew faster relative to wealthier neighbors nearby.
Well, it isn't fair because I live on a fixed income. And when they going up on taxes, my income is set. And so I'm getting poorer and poorer as I pay taxes.
Their Social Security or their retirement funds does not increase. They budgeted for a certain amount. And, after a decade or two of this type of, increase every 2 to 4 years or whenever they decide to increase it, it can throw people's budgeting off, and you have a lot of elders that may end up forced to sell their homes or, inadvertently losing their homes through foreclosure.
If inflation is inevitable and over a home's lifetime its value will appreciate, then sure, a homeowner will pay more in yearly taxes. But this is missing the main issue. It's not that tax assessments will never change. The problem is whose assessments are increasing and whose aren't.
So in Mr. Lordman's case, his property has grown 19% more than what it was 4 years ago, which is an accelerating path of extra tax dollars they pay, even though his family's on a fixed income. Contrast that with Biltmore Forest, we found that Biltmore Forest as a whole has lost value over time. And there's several houses and mansions that we've pulled where they're actually losing value. So how is it that there's fairness in the system when one residential neighborhood of high wealth is actually losing value, while what Mr. Lordman is experiencing here is an increase in value? That doesn't seem fair across the system.
It's truly disgusting how much greed these people have. Last time I talked to my therapist, I told her about this stuff being the reason why I'm sad, and then she proceeded to also become sad. Biltmore is like a heritage community and everything is old money. Losing value, how about applying to reduce the tax assessment because they know that that's a thing? In New Jersey, we lock in property tax rates for seniors so this doesn't happen. Yeah, and that's how it should be. It shouldn't be the case that you're in your 60s and you're worried about losing your house. Like you're working a job, you're being a productive member of society, and now you have to sell your house because you can't afford it anymore? Like, what? My therapist told me to reduce my consumption of political content. Oh, God. In Delaware, after 60, you don't pay school taxes because you aren't even making kids anymore. I mean, that's also a valid... That's valid. That is valid. Yeah, I mean, it's it is mind-boggling to me just how cruel rich people are. That they feel the need to squeeze every last penny that they can from like working class people. It's not enough that they live in an amazing house. It's not enough that they have a nice job. It's not enough that they can never worry about medical debt. It's not enough that they can't go where they want on vacation whenever they want, or buy a yacht if they want to, or like that is just, it's not enough. They have to make sure that poor people literally can't afford to live in a house anymore. It's insane. My brain cannot wrap itself around the idea of like this infinite, insatiable greed. Because that's how they got rich. But like there's a certain level of rich that you don't need to do anything else. Like there is a certain amount of money that you can accumulate. And then at that point, you can just set it aside, get a financial advisor, and you can live comfortably for the rest of your life. When people, or a good example would be content creators. Content creators generally have like lower lifetimes in terms of like how long they work that job than other jobs do. A lot of content creators who work as content creators as their full-time job, they probably do it for a decade. Maybe more sometimes. There are some rare examples where people have been doing it for more than a decade. And it's because once you get to a certain level of success, you get a certain level of wealth, you can just retire. You don't have to. Like, I think currently the number is like, if you have like 5 million liquid, you don't have to work for the rest of your life and you will live comfortably for the rest of your life. And that's still not enough. Tell that to Nancy Pelosi. God. Elated, thank you so much for the 3 months. Thank you.
Hagerty has been researching property tax iniquities in Western North Carolina with the Just Accounting Project, and she can break this down for us.
In order to measure the fairness and accuracy of assessments, we looked across the housing value spectrum to see how close assessed values were to a home sale price that year. So sale price is the best estimate of market value, and according to law, the assessed value should be equal to the market value. Our analysis involved ordering homes sold in 2021 by sale price, dividing all sales evenly into 10 groups or deciles, and taking the median value from each group as a representative sale. We then looked at how each home's assessed value compared to its selling price. Our research has shown discrepancies between assessed values and market value. This is a phenomenon we call the assessment gap. The problem is that these discrepancies are not randomly distributed errors. Instead, we find that homes of lower value tend to be overassessed when compared to higher value homes. Another way to say this is that our findings suggest that assessments are regressive. Regressive assessments lead to regressive taxation, in which owners of low value property pay too much in taxes while owners of high value properties pay too little. This kind of regressive tax system shifts the collective tax burden from high-value property owners to lower-value property owners, putting a strain on the city's most financially vulnerable residents.
People can lose their homes for failing to pay what are often unfair taxes. In other words, people might have been overtaxed in the first place, but are unable to pay those taxes that are too high, and that can result in their losing their home. And that gets to a second kind of indirect effect, which is the destruction of generational wealth. When somebody who has reached a point of home ownership ends up losing the home for tax reasons, that's destroying that generational wealth that might have gone to the next generation in their family who could have inherited the home.
In Buncombe County, our findings suggest that for every $100 that owners of high-value homes are paying in property taxes, owners of low-value homes are paying $110.
If high-value homeowners aren't paying their fair share, this means a combination of things. A city is missing out on millions or billions of dollars, or they're raising taxes on everyone to make up that lost revenue.
Property taxes are very important. They make up by far the largest single source of income for our community.
Beyond the high value of uncollected taxes that could contribute to essential services or amenities in a city, another unfortunate consequence of this unfair system is that it divides neighbors and creates distrust in local government.
An extra heavy burden lands on people who are least able to afford it, which is kind of common in our culture in general. But even just having some consistency from the tax assessor about how they conduct assessments. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me that we have such great disparities from one neighborhood or even from house to house.
Taxes is one of the most sacred things. You're taking people's hard-earned money and you're using it for good causes in your government, but it needs to be done in an unbiased fashion, needs to be done in a manner that is fair.
A national study is a great starting point, but in order for change to happen, it needs to be used alongside local knowledge and expertise to solve the unique issues in each area.
My neighbor's taxes are over here in this area. Oh, my friend over here knows this person or that person, and so their taxes are a little lower. And, the inconsistency in a small town, that is not where local government needs to be.
And in areas that have a history of redlining, this insidious pattern continues to show itself.
In Buncombe County, we conducted a neighborhood-level study to understand tax assessment implications for historically Black neighborhoods over time. We found that over the last 20 years, Shiloh, a predominantly Black neighborhood in Asheville, has been consistently overassessed in comparison to predominantly white neighborhoods like Lakeview Park.
Yo, fucking bullshit, dude. The internet has broken my brain. All I can think of when I hear low and high value is like pickup artist guys. Yeah. They're psychopaths or sociopaths. Imagine what kind of ego is grown in an environment where they're never told no. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that Elon Musk is the freak that he is, right? He grew up with money. He had money his whole life. He became the richest person on the planet. Like, rich enough that he can literally do whatever he wants. What type of ego do you think that builds? Like, that's... And that's why he's like he's got an incel mindset, right? That's the reason why he gets upset when telling an actress to sit next to him during some award show for $20,000 doesn't work. I don't know if anyone's seen that story before. Most hilarious Elon Musk's story available on the internet. Imagine trying to pay someone thousands of dollars to go with you, to sit next to you, and they're like, the idea disgusts me. No, I will not. Like, he's incel adjacent at that point. What? No fucking way. If someone can find the story, fucking post it in chat, we can look at it. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Why didn't he offer her a horse? Stop. Stop. I can't. This is probably this phenomenon of rich people's houses being undervalued and assessed and poor people's being overassessed is almost certainly some loophole that allows appraisers to take into account factors that are lowering the property value that are not. You know? Like, well, our houses are really nice, but they're really out of the way. So that kind of decreases the property value. Yeah, our house is really nice, but like technically the kitchen does need a renovation. So it's not worth as much as it should be right now. Yeah, there is a pool, but technically it's not working right now. So, you know, you have to take that into account. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit.
We found that millions of dollars of property taxes have been unfairly collected from Shiloh residents over the years. This is evidence that regressive tax burdens fall not only on low-income communities, but disproportionately on Buncombe County's communities of color.
You know, we can't do this work without talking about the racial aspect of it. And it's designed to do exactly what it's doing.
So clearly, for various reasons, the system is unfair. But these assessors didn't create the system, they're working within it. This is an essential job, so hopefully your assessor is aware of the shortcomings of our current system and is working to improve the fairness and accuracy of assessed values in their jurisdictions.
Well, I mean, if you've got any kind of conscience at all, and you're going to face your neighbors in the grocery store, then you at best, you know, have some integrity.
Rich people having integrity.
And do the absolute best that you can.
We don't normally have a difficult time getting interviews with who we want, but when trying to secure interviews with assessors, it was tough getting one to commit. Luckily, Blair Hyder from Mitchell County agreed to speak with us. His perspective can hopefully point us to potential solutions. One of these suggestions is leveraging technology to perform better comparisons on assessments.
So I can run that statistic on that neighborhood level all the way up to the market level, which takes in all the neighborhoods within that market, or I can run it for the whole county. The statistics are the key to the whole thing.
Better software means better analysis, and this should let us see whether the ideal ratio is being met. Also, a more uniform use of this technology, be it software or reporting devices, can allow offices to be more efficient, allowing them to become more accurate by reassessing more often.
But basically, it's a hard job, it's a complicated job, and so there are some reasons why regressivity can get baked into some of the estimates, and you have to take a bit of an extra effort to try to fix them. And so I think what's really going on is not that assessors are going out and like trying to create regressive assessments, is just that they're not working as hard as they could and should to fix them. And when they become aware of it, you know, not taking the actions to fix them. And as you said, oftentimes they're sending reports to a state bureau that oversees them with no enforcement that comes. So in Illinois, for example, the Illinois Department of Revenue has created reports for years on assessment practices in all the local jurisdictions. And we looked at those reports, and 90% of them in the reports show that the assessments are regressive for a decade. And you know, no action takes place. So I think it's more the inaction. And at some point, I do start to say, if you are not taking action in the face of what you know is an injustice, you do start to look a bit like the bad guy, even if you didn't create the injustice intentionally.
The system isn't working.
let's just say I won't be as polite as Strong Towns is being. They're doing it on purpose. The rich people are doing it on purpose. They're hiring appraisers that are corrupt to benefit themselves, okay? And they know they won't get in trouble because if they ever do get in trouble, they'll just hire a lawyer. And if you have enough money, you win. That's it. It's that simple. It's that you have to hard code some laws so that there should be no exceptions, no loopholes, none of that bullshit. Because there are instances where you need the exceptions, but there are instances where they should not exist at all. Like half of tax code is just like a shit show. It's just a shit show. Mesos, thank you so much for the 22 months. Thank you. Like, I would say, I couldn't tell you how much, okay? But there's a significant chunk of tax code that is just to benefit rich people. It's literally just, we want to make more money. How do we make more money? How do we pay less? Such a joke.
But we do have a kind of band-aid, the appeals process. The main issue with the appeals process, though, is that it's mostly wealthy homeowners who are appealing anyway. That doesn't tell the whole story, though.
But the people who live there, you know, if they have a little bit of money or don't have any money, it's more about who they know and who they grew up with in the county. It's a small county. If you're the right age, you know, that you went to high school with the person working in this office. So there's a little bit of that goes on that kind of ameliorates what you were talking about, whether it's just rich or poor, because there's a lot of people that you wouldn't consider rich, but you know, their family's been well connected.
And if you're not wealthy or well connected, good luck.
You protest, they give you a form to fill out when you don't agree with the amount that you are taxed. And it's just wasting ink.
It's important that the appeals process exists, but I think it's reasonable to conclude that the current administration of the appeals process mostly serves wealthy or well-connected homeowners, which ultimately just cements these unfair results anyway. At Strong Towns, we don't just accept things the way they are, we fight for our places. Fixing this broken tax assessment system is going to require local action and a grassroots effort to reform the system from the county up to the state. In order to change systems, we need to start by learning about them.
Right? You can't.
I respect strong arms. I do. Okay. Peepo smile. I love rich people, so much so that I want to be within arm's length of them for no reason in particular. Dude, it's this blissful naivete is so annoying from this guy. I'm trying my best to stay on focus. You guys have seen the... Here it is. This Kim K clip of her going to the DMV to get her like ID or her passport or some shit. Like, they live in a different world.
Comes prepared. In the June 29th episode of The Kardashians, the Skims mogul shoved camera crew in tow. And if you think that's extra, she does.
Cute.
Once she's camera ready.
You're gonna have to live with this for years.
Okay, no wrinkles, no. Smiles.
It's gonna set up first.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
Ready? Stop,
No,
dude.
just move this.
Dude.
I promise. You're gonna have to live with this for years. You'll hate it.
Okay. Hold on. Okay.
Ready? 4 seconds. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
And not surprisingly, Kim has some critiques.
Can we try again?
Maybe can you come out a bit more? So it's not so cropped.
Not so, yeah.
Yeah, is there any way to save this, do another, and have them side by side?
Can you just airdrop it to us really quickly? They'll
This is
retake
gonna
it.
allow that to
Do you risk losing it?
I think you could do better.
Shoulders back. Yeah.
Ready? 4 seconds. 1, 2.
The reality star gives it another take, and it turns out second time's the charm.
Wow.
We're snatched.
First snatch.
Good.
Really?
This one's good. It looks exactly the same as the other one.
Picture perfect and proof that Kim makes even the most mundane tasks worth watching.
Oh, you're a rich person that needs an ID, or you need to go to like the DMV for photos or whatever for your passport. Well, you get to have the entire place be empty just for you, and you can take as many photos as you want, and you can bring a whole ass camera crew. Oh, you're poor? Well, I hope you have 6 hours to waste sitting in a chair uncomfortably while a child screams right next to you. This always came off as overly performative to me. Couldn't they just email a glamour shot to the DMV and ask them to use that as her DMV photo? Why go into the DMV? Yeah, I mean, of course it is. It is performative. And to be clear, it does make sense that celebrities would have different ways of going to the DMV or getting an ID, right? Because you don't want fucking Britney Spears to walk into a DMV and then get swarmed. And people are like taking pictures of her or trying to talk to her or grabbing her. You know what I mean? Like that seems not good, especially in LA. Yeah, that seems like a bad idea just because they have some level of like notoriety that's bad for them. But there should be like a system, train wrecks, where they can just submit a photo online. I mean, to be quite honest, none of us should have to go to the fucking DMV. You shouldn't have to go to the DMV and wait for hours to get a photo taken. You should be able to take a photo yourself of your face and just email it to the DMV. And then in like 3 weeks, you get your passport in the mail. Or you have to come pick it up. Why? The system right now is so shit. It took me 7 to 8 hours to get my picture taken, and I got on the line at 5 a.m. Online submission opens the door to fraud at Denims. Taking the picture in person means that the government worker verified your ID and who you are and what you look like. Here's the thing. Two points of contention here. First of all, other countries are able to do this. I don't see why we can't. In other countries, they don't have this archaic method of taking photos at the DMV. You can submit them online. If they can figure it out, we can figure it out. Second of all, there are instances where we do not require you to confirm that you're a real person in real life. There are notaries. Like if you go to USPS, usually those are notaries. Like you can go and get something notarized. Someone there, an official government worker who will look at your ID, make sure that it's your face, make sure that it's you, and will verify, yes, this is in fact the person who did it, this is correct, blah, 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 perfect. Like, it shouldn't be the case that you have to fucking do all this shit, you know? It shouldn't be the case that you have to go to the DMV and wait there for 7 hours. That's bullshit. You know? If you can do your own pictures for your passport, you should be able to do that for your driver's license. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's basically how it works right now for passports. You can go to USPS for a passport picture. Why can't you do that for IDs? Like, why? It's stupid. It's ridiculous. Your argument was to not go somewhere because it's archaic, and you propose going to a notary in order to get permission to submit a picture online. I personally think going to the USPS for 5 minutes to have someone confirm that it's you is fine. And also, going to the DMV for 8 hours is not fine and archaic. I think that that is a reasonable, rational position. I think that that's fine. Notaries can actually come to you in some cases. Moving the goalpost, also mobile notaries are a thing. There are also a lot more notaries than DMVs. Yep. Yep. It would also be cheaper. There are literally mobile notaries. Yeah. A lot of the systems that we have in place in the US are so dog shit because we haven't bothered improving them. Can't you make an appointment at the DMV? Sorry, I'm from a country with the working bureaucracy. Does anyone want to tell this lovely chatter what making an appointment is like? I'm not making fun of you. I'm not, I swear. I just want you to know that the sentence "make an appointment" to any American is going to make them laugh their ass off, okay? Precise Gameplay, thank you for the 6 months. Thank you. All right? There are 2 problems with making an appointment. A, sometimes your appointment time doesn't matter. It's like, I have an appointment for 2 o'clock. Well, time to wait for 4 hours for some reason. Even though I made an appointment. There's another problem as well where you're allowed to make the appointment, but you have to check in person. And the only way to check in is if you wait in the line. I made an appointment. I did everything right. And I still had to wait 2 hours for identification. It's just terrible. It's terrible. Always booked for the full 2 weeks out and you have to get an appointment in an inconveniently far away DMV. Bureaucracy is also designed to waste your time and make you jump through hoops. I wouldn't even go that far. I think that that is a valid stance to have, but I wouldn't even go that far. A lot of these shitty systems that we have in the US are just things that we've had for a long time, right? Before we had the internet, before we had good technology, you had to go to the DMV. Because how else are you going to sort all this information? The computers kind of fucking sucked. Like, you needed to have in-person DMVs. That was the best method that they had like 30 years ago. The problem is that they haven't improved any of these to make it logistically better. The fact that the IRS website frequently crashes is embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing. It's pathetic. You know, the CalJobs website is so antiquated and ripe for hackerman's activities. For the tech nerds, okay? For the tech nerds in chat. There are still states using COBOL for their government programs. For the non-tech nerds, they are using a coding language that is so outdated, it's embarrassing. Some of the, and I only know this because some of the best paying jobs right now in the computer science field is learning COBOL and being hired by the state to convert that system into one of the newer systems. They will pay you a lot of money if you're willing to learn this piece of shit archaic system and convert their website into a working website that everyone can understand now. The reason that they pay so much is because nobody codes in that language anymore. No one. Let's not talk about the US DoD. Wait until you hear about what air traffic control centers use. Oh God. Oh God, no, please. No, please. Oh no. They still use floppy disks in some nuclear silos. Oh God. Oh my God. So many state Department of Transportation still use that old shit. It's so... It's super profitable because everyone who knew it is dead now. Yep. Like, yeah. Yeah. Banks are never going to move off of the IBM mainframe. Yeah. I can't. Is converting it like really cheaper than remaking the system from scratch? I'm a computer moron, so that might be a dumb question. From my understanding, there's a lot of data on the sites that starting from scratch would make it so you can't transfer the data. That's my understanding. That is my very rudimentary understanding. If someone can explain it a little bit better, please go for it. The thing about analog stuff, though, is way more reliable. Yeah, but it's inconvenient. It's unbelievably inconvenient. Like, analog doesn't work when we're talking about hundreds of millions of people, you know? For real, though, my old job at a bank had to hire some consultants who were all 60 and 70-year-olds who were experts in an ancient IBM database mainframe. These 3 consultants got like millions of dollars. I'm not surprised at all, I worked for a tech company that had government contracts with the Navy, and we used Windows XP. This is how I feel about that information. But replace the word you with the government. God, it's a lot because the banking institution in the US is so fragmented, not an issue in UK and Europe. Yeah, so this is the problem with a country being this big. It's that certain states are going to need different policies. Inherently, just by geography alone, certain states are going to need different types of policies. For example, sewer drains or like drainage systems. Some states, it is a waste of taxpayer money to even bother building them. Right? Like, if you live in a desert, like Arizona, having a good draining system in Arizona is kind of a waste of money, right? Whereas if you live in Florida, you need to have a good draining system, right? There's just no way. There's just too many hurricanes, too much rain. So we all recognize, at least geographically, different states are going to need different laws just because different states get different types of weather, have different types of biomes. You know, like you're going to need different regulations there, right? Maybe in some states you have regulations where you have to salt the roads, right? Because there's just so much snow that the state gets. And other states get no snow, so they don't really need that regulation. However, there are so many policies that need to be federal. There are a lot of policies currently at this moment that are state-based and local-based for absolutely no fucking reason. There is no reason that certain books should be banned in some states, but not other states. They should either be banned in all states or no states. There's nothing different between there is not enough different between a kid in Florida and a kid in California, like a 5 or 6 year old, you know, so different. Like they have such a different experience that they shouldn't. That one of them is allowed to read one book and the other one isn't allowed to read that book. That's bullshit. It's fucking stupid. Drainage system for residents outside of Florida since it's going to be underwater. Yeah, well, wait, the states aren't united? Sadly, not the case. I see that ads are playing right now, or if they aren't playing, they're going to be playing very soon. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to say thank you for the donations. We've raised $1,680 for the earthquake in Morocco funds, which is amazing and incredible. So I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone who's given in the past hour. Jade, thank you for the 10. Slamwise, thank you for the 20. YNG Mecca, thank you for the 5. Anon, thank you for the 15. Nerd with the Beanie, thank you for the 20. Anon, thank you for the 10. Fellini, thank you for the 20. Anon, thank you for the 10. Worthless and Pathetic, thank you for the 50. God's favorite mathematician, thank you for the 10. Singy Californian, thank you for the 100. Thank you. And Primitive Light, thank you for the 105. Thank you guys so much. Anon also, I don't know if I read this one, but thank you for the 10. You guys are incredible and amazing and great. And the money is going to a really great cause. So thank you to everyone. Of course, please do not feel an obligation to donate if you are not in a financial position to donate. But if you are, every dollar matters. And all the money raised is going to go to people who actually really need it. So thank you to everyone who did. And to those who didn't, I totally understand. You know, not everyone is in a financial position where they can donate, and that's fine. Okay, let's finish this video, shall we? I don't want to interrupt Strong Towns right before he's about to propose how we change or fix our property tax system.
Can't really tell from only seeing your own tax bill whether you're being treated fairly or whether the system is fair. And the reason is, one of the things assessors sometimes do is they underassess everybody by at least a little bit, but they underassess the people at the top by more. And so even when you're underassessed by 10%, you may be on the losing end of this system. You may still be overtaxed.
If we want to make this property assessment process more fair, then we need transparent local accounting. We need to conduct more assessments more often, making sure that homes are staying close to the ideal ratio. We need better models and technologies so that we can identify problems earlier and allow state departments of revenue to actually hold assessors accountable. If we do this well, then many people might actually see a reduction in taxes, especially those who are way overassessed. There are going to be growing pains as the system becomes more fair. It's going to take local pressure to go through these inconvenient but necessary measures to make appraisals more accurate.
One of the reasons I created the Property Tax Project website is to make it easy for people, ordinary citizens or journalists or policymakers, easy for people to find out how is their own local community faring on these issues of tax fairness and tax regressivity. So if you go to propertytaxproject.uchicago.edu, you can select an area, a county or a city, and get a report that will show you the extent of the problem.
This is an important place for me to remind you that you can't do this alone. There are likely already people doing the work where you live, so join them. Momentum is building. After Fritz Kagi, a reform-minded assessor in Cook County, was elected, the county started to see some progress in reducing regressivity. In Western North Carolina, the Just Accounting Project is a similar step in the right direction. But this work needs to continue.
I think assessors, to the extent that they want to avoid acknowledging or working on this problem, they thrive on how opaque the system is and how hard it is to explain to people. And that basically allows them to keep it under the rug. And so I think one of the reasons we had such major reforms in Chicago is that we had local journalists who were willing to devote energies to this, and they published a series of important stories about it, and other jurisdictions can do the same thing.
This is why a local focus is so important. Yes, on a national scale, we're not going to have some kind of Pepsi commercial kumbaya moment of restorative justice. But if a city as divided as Chicago can take steps to try and figure this out, why can't yours?
I would say that, assessors who really want to fix this problem can now start to look at some examples of how it's been done. It's challenging, particularly if you're a small assessing office. So I don't want to say it's an easy roadmap, but I think we're beginning to see what the ingredients are of a successful reform.
If you want to get cooking on this, then check out the Property Tax Project. If you think you need a more local kind of study, then look into the Just Accounting Project. Also, consider joining a local conversation because this work can't be done alone. Keep doing what you can to make your town a stronger one, and we'll see you next time.
What a fucking great guy, dude. What a great guy. I talked to the team doing this research in WNC back in May. I love what they're doing. Yeah. Yeah. Please go, and I actually don't remember Sanglo. Please go strongtowns.org/accounting if you guys want to take part in direct action in trying to fix the bullshit in your state. Because chances are, if you live in the US, you're probably getting fucked by property taxes in one way or another. And please go give the video a follow, or sorry, a follow. Give the video a like. Subscribe. I don't know how I'm not subscribed actually to Strong Towns. Subscribe, like, smash that like button. And oh, hi Meerkat. What's up? Yes, how is it going? Okay, Meerkat. Okay, Mr. Mayor. Okay.